of you may know how I lost over 100 pounds and cured a number of physical and mental health conditions. Now, a big part of that was healing my digestive system. After trying many different probiotics and enzymes, the ones I have found to be most effective was by far a company called BioOptimizers. Little do some people know, and I definitely didn't know at one point, is how much our digestive system affects our mood and our brain function and all systems in our body. So if you want to optimize your life in many different ways, start with your digestion, because it truly does reflect in every other aspect. So if you'd like to get a discount on BioOptimizers, check out the links in the description. They just released their new blend of probiotic called Cognibiotics, which is specifically designed to help boost your mood and cognitive function. So if you'd like to learn more about that, click on the links and check it out. All right there. So today we have Charles Burrell. Is that how you say your name? Burrell or
Yeah.
Burrell? Okay, Charles
No, it's
Burrell.
Burrell. A lot of people say Burrell, but it's actually Burrell.
Okay, so there we go. It's all cleared in the air now. So I was introduced to Charles through actually, if you listen to my first podcast with Colleen Ferlot, who she, I guess, co-directed Tent City, which was done for the Humanity Project. Now, Charles is the founder of the Humanity Project, and I actually happened to interview as well Shannon Camilleri. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. A little tongue twister for me, but she was on my, I think, second or third podcast. If you want to check that out, those are some really good episodes to listen to. So today we have Charles, the one who started it all. And Charles, I'd actually really like to hear about how you even got started with the Humanity Project in the first place. What inspired you to get this going? And where do you come from, essentially?
Where do I come from? Earth.
Yeah,
But no, what got me started? I was driving down the road one winter day, and there was an older gentleman, probably 60 to 70 years old. He was pushing a shopping cart, and he had no hat, no mittens, and he was wearing a pair of sneakers. I believe it was like minus 32 or minus 36. It was a brutal cold day, and I looked at him as I was driving by. And I thought to myself, like, I need to help that guy. And I didn't. And I kept driving. And I kept driving, not because I didn't want to help him, not because it just, I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do in that moment. And then I went home, and it kept bothering me thinking about like somebody like my grandfather's age out walking without even hat and mittens. And when I opened up my drawers, I had tons of sweaters and long johns and stuff to keep me warm in the winter. And I went on social media one day, and one of my friends had posted a picture of what they're having for supper. And I remember when I seen that picture, I thought to myself, like, we're using social media in a way to show people what we're having for supper, but we're not using it to realize that there's people in our own communities that are going without supper. So I asked some friends and family. I said, if you have old book bags from your kids going to school, or if you have hats and mittens and peanut butter and crackers, stuff like that, hand warmers, I'd like to collect them and go out and give them to people that are homeless. So then I went out after work every night, and I started looking for people, and I found them. And see, at this time too, there's so much stigma around homelessness that it's caused from whether it's media, TV, movies, music, whatever, that most people, if you said to them, close your eyes, and you said homeless person, they picture a person pushing a shopping cart with a brown paper bag and a bottle in their hand. That's the image that's been ingrained in all of us. And 6 years ago, I was the type of person that I would walk by somebody, and if I seen them and they were like my age, I would think in my head, I might not say it out loud, but I would think like, why don't you go get a job? Just go get a job. But I was so uneducated and so ignorant towards the issues surrounding homelessness and poverty, and how many barriers are in place for somebody that's homeless, that I judged somebody without knowing them. So when I started putting these book bags together and going out and finding people, I realized quickly that society had lied to me. Society had told me that homelessness was a guy with a brown paper bag and a bottle. But when I went out, I started finding people sleeping in their cars with their children, and seniors out on our streets, and people that were that had disabilities, wheelchairs, sleeping in bank floors. They weren't all drunk. They weren't all high. But the one thing they all did have in common is they were cold and hungry and had no place to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's the moment where something changed in my life, where instead of walking by somebody and judging them, I would look at them and I would ask them, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? What can I do to make your life better and get you out of this situation? And then it just kind of went from there, because I seen that very simply, like, I was able to help them with the limited resources I had. Why can't I use a resource like my internet to help them make a resume or find a job or help them find an apartment? So then I started helping them find places to live and finding places to employ them. But it's such a complex problem that you can find somebody like that whole get a job mentality is crazy to me now, because you can tell someone, oh, why don't you go get a job? Cool. Why don't you keep your job and then go sleep under a bridge tonight and then go to work tomorrow and sleep under a bridge the next day with no running water, no place to take a shower, no nothing. I know many people who have worked jobs while they are homeless, and unless they are housed, it only lasts so long. You cannot keep doing it. There's more to it than just get a job. You need to have a roof. You need to have good living conditions, safe, affordable living conditions, somewhere where you feel safe and secure, that you can go to work the next day, and when you get home, your stuff is still there. You can take a shower. You can make yourself a meal. So I think that's just how it started, and that's where everything changed. And I realized that at that time, nobody in our city was really talking about homelessness. Everybody referred to Eddie the Bum,
Yeah.
and everybody knew who that was, but nobody talked about them like they were people. And to me, it's just, I knew that if I was on that side of ignorance before, on that side of the fence, and I was able to come over to this side of the fence of love and understanding, that there were other people like me who I could unite together and get together to make real changes in our community.
You actually answered a lot of questions I had there. And one topic I kind of want to go back to that you mentioned was how I know a lot of people who do see homeless people, and they think exactly what you said is like, go get a job. But exactly, it's really hard to get a job as well as keep a job if you don't have a place to live. And then I imagine maybe you could talk about how hard it is for them to get a place to live. It ends up being like this a paradoxical thing where you're stuck in a rut where like you kind of need both in order to actually sustain both. And how does one who is homeless, who is capable of getting a job and having a place to live, how do they get out of that rut to actually get a job and a place to live? Or in which one of those comes first usually?
Well, that's it. It's everybody's. To which one comes first depends on a person's situation. For every person that I have ever met that is homeless, their issues for being homeless are as unique as the individual themselves. Some
Yeah.
people you can house that are just down on their luck. You get them back in a place and they're off and running. You don't ever have to worry about them again. Like, they're doing well. Then there's other people who, like, here's the thing, humans in general are creatures of habit and routine, right? So most people get up Monday to Friday, they go to work. Towards Friday comes, they go, oh man, I can't wait for Friday to get here. The weekend, bam, the weekend comes, you get time with your family, you get to do what you want. Sunday comes, you go, man, I don't want to go to work on Monday. A lot of
Yeah.
people do that. So they spend all day Sunday worrying about Monday. But what happens is you do this routine constantly throughout the week, and then you pay your bills on time, you do this, you do that, and then you rinse and repeat. You do the same thing. All humans are creatures of routine and habit. So the one thing I do see is when I meet somebody that is first homeless, that has become homeless, they're like a scared little cat or a dog. They don't know what to do. They're not sure. They're scared. They're out on the street. They might go to the shelter, they might stay there, they might not. But the one thing I do notice is the longer that somebody is homeless, it's like you get in the habit and the routine of survival. So you get in the habit of every day I wake up, even if, let's say you're at a shelter, I got to be here for breakfast. Then I got to go kill an hour or two. Then I got to be here for lunch. Then I can go to the library, kill an hour or two. Then I got to be at our place, let's say for supper. Then after I leave supper, I have 2 hours till I got to be at the shelter, because you got to be in by whatever curfew is. You get in, you go to sleep, you get up the next morning, you go out, you have to be somewhere for breakfast. You repeat this habit of just trying to survive and living. But then that habit and that routine that you've developed becomes normal, and it becomes normalized to you. It becomes every day. So as you're out there, the longer you're out there, it's almost like it becomes normal to you, and you accept it. You accept that this is going to be my life. This is what I got to do. I got to be here. I got to be here at that time. And it becomes habit. The biggest thing is breaking those habits and routines for people. So the longer somebody is out that is homeless, that has been homeless a longer time, it takes a lot more work to work with that person. It's not just a matter of putting them in a house. You know, if they've been homeless for 2 to 3 years and they're not used to doing the dishes or keeping their bathroom clean, there's
Yeah.
some things that you need to work on with them. Maybe they haven't cooked in so long that they kind of don't have the cooking skills they need, even if you give them the food. You know, so, and then there's other people, it's just a matter of finding them housing, helping them out, or helping them find a job and keeping them housed. There's so many different issues to this problem, but it's solvable. It's just a matter of addressing it on an individual need.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of relates to weight loss in a way where you need to change all these tiny little habits that you've developed over time that's caused you to gain the weight in the first place. And that's really hard to do, and it takes a really long time, except for, of course, homelessness is a whole other level. That's like a little bit like way deeper than weight loss, because you have to literally change all your habits and get used to this new lifestyle. Now, even if somebody wants to get a home and a job and is ready to put in the hard work to make the changes in those tiny little habits, how easy is it for them to actually do that in the society that we live in? Is the government supportive? Is there places for them to, like, can they get housing subsidy where they get some of their housing paid for? Like, is this a really difficult thing for people to do? And are you seeing people getting much help for this to get on the right track? Is there systems in place where somebody who's on the street can be like, I want a job, I want a house, what can I do? And then is there not only a play system to help them get a home and a job, but is there support that will kind of help them along that process, like you mentioned, when it comes to getting used to that new routine of taking care of their apartment and even like maybe getting ready for work and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think it, a lot of people say, oh, they don't want the help, or you got to want to help yourself. If you really want to help, you got to help yourself. Okay, sure. That's like me saying, okay, you just got in a car accident. Now I'm going to throw you a phone, or you're in a river drowning, and I'm going to throw you a phone and tell you to call 911 and get some help.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people need help getting there, you know, and that's where we're really missing is a bridge in between to help them get there. It's not a matter of just somebody needing help. You know, somebody has gone to so many times to try to get help at different places and the help not being available that sometimes they just give up. They don't think it's available. They don't think it's possible. They don't think it's achievable. But you take that person by the hand and you help them with every step of what they need. You break down. That's what I do. I break down steps. I go, where do you want to be? You want to be up here? This is your end goal, to get housed, to get a job, to do whatever, to reconnect with your family, whatever it is. Here's the steps. What steps do you think we need to take to get there? And then you plan out the steps with them. You know, it's it's letting people know that they have value, and they just have to see that value in themselves. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
it's you have to work together. You cannot just throw somebody into housing and leave them there and expect it to work. 90% of the time that's never going to work.
I think that's the key word there, is that there's strength in numbers and we need to work together in order to actually make stuff happen. You can't expect an individual to do anything all on their own. I mean, any sort of success that anybody achieves in their life, it's a result of collaborated effort. And this is where compassion is necessary for citizens like me and you to be able to help with helping the homeless. And
Yeah,
you have to see them as actual people and not just walk by them and kind of maybe look down on them or judge that it's their fault that they're there, and see them as lesser than you.
you know the funny thing is wording really matters, and it really changes a lot of things. I used to say homeless people. Even if you look back at my Facebook page when I first started it, I would say there's homeless people, and that's what I said. But then I realized something. There are people who are homeless. There are people first. By changing the wording of people who are homeless instead of homeless people, it changes everything.
Yeah.
because that's who they are first, is people, right? They're your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, you're disabled, they're the people in your community. But back to kind of the question you asked me earlier with the housing, like right now, I have a list of people that would love to get housing, that are dreaming about having a roof over their head. But the lack of affordable housing in our city and across our country really is crazy. It's crazy. Like this whole COVID thing has really opened up my eyes to a lot of things. Like the government assumes that it takes $2,000 to keep the average person housed, fed, pay their mortgage, pay their bills, take care of themselves. We'll give you $2,000 a month. But yet we give people disability of like 700 and assistance in New Brunswick's like 537, and we expect them to live off that.
Yeah.
You give somebody $537, 400 to 450 goes to the rent. Where do you think they're eating? At our place. Should they have to eat there? No. That's the thing. Like I can tell you right now, I know people that were on the street that took CERB money and didn't care, because you know what? They're not on the street right now. Because like they told me, if the government comes back on me, too bad. I don't care, but I'm not staying in a shelter and I'm not sleeping out on the street anymore.
Yeah.
And they took that money and found themselves places. So that tells me that if they had a basic income to get themselves started that was more than $537 a month, we'd have a lot less people sleeping on our streets.
Exactly. And if the government provided more help like that on a larger scale and maybe implemented a greater basic income for people so that they can have places to live and have their needs met, because we need our needs met. Otherwise, we're living in survival mode. And when you're living in survival mode, that's when you can end up with all sorts of problems in your relationships, and they manifest in different ways. Some people it's eating habits, some people it's mental health, some people it can lead to alcoholism, some people it can lead to just like even like financial problems and the inability to control their finances when they do get some money and just kind of splurge and go on spending sprees. But yeah, I absolutely think that's a very necessary thing, because everybody who's alive on earth, I believe, deserves to have all their needs met. They deserve to have a place to live and food and shelter. And unfortunately, like a lot of what they are given now, like it isn't enough. It's not their basic needs. They're still fighting to survive, and that should not be a problem. There's so many people in this world. There's like, it's scary to say, I don't even know what the exact population is. Around 8 billion people now. Now, there's a small percentage who are homeless and poor. And in my view, I mean, there's a lot of us that should be helping those people and doing what we can in our own life to help those people, even if you can't really do a whole lot like what you're doing with the Humanity Project and start this whole mission. And I don't want to call it business. It's sort of just like a platform to help people, but you can also just become a more compassionate person, a more understanding person, being more mindful and looking at the homeless as people. And I think that's really important what you said there, putting people in front of homeless, because changing your wording does make a big difference. And because that's essentially taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture of things and seeing who they really are. And they are just like us. And this is what I teach for my whole platform too. I empower people to change their mindset so that they can lose weight and better their lives and whatnot. But it's really just about getting them to believe in themselves and see value in themselves, because I achieved a big transformation in my own life. I lost like 115 pounds and I was an alcoholic. And I actually have some experience with with homelessness as well, not to that degree, but I was pretty close to being homeless, is what I should say. So I have always had like a natural compassion for the homeless now. So this is exactly why I'm talking to you here today. But so if anybody's listening, I mean, just even if you think you can't do anything, it goes down to that classic phrase, be the change you wish to see in the world, and at least be that demonstration of compassion that somebody does care. Because like you said, when you approach the people on the street, they don't know what to expect or what to think of you at first, because they maybe get so many different reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much my rant. I don't really know where I was headed with that. But if you want to continue, I kind of want to know what is the Humanity Project for somebody who doesn't know exactly. Like, what is the Humanity Project, and what do you do?
The Humanity Project is a incorporated nonprofit that technically, according to the government, that's what we are. Is we're an incorporated nonprofit, but that to me is just a title. The government
Yeah,
can take my nonprofit status tomorrow, and it wouldn't stop me from feeding people. You
yeah,
know, to me, the Humanity Project is it's a community working together for real change and no bullshit. Like, I'm so tired of when I sit in meetings with people in politics in general and other organizations, and you say, we need this or this has to happen. Well, we need funding. We got to do this. We got to do that. Oh, we're going to need another report, or we're going to need. It's like, come on, seriously. Do we need to go and pay someone $40,000 to get a report together to tell us that we need better mental health addiction services and affordable housing? I don't think
yeah,
so. So to me, sitting in these meetings is kind of a waste of my time when I could be spending that time trying to find housing for people or feeding 150 to 300 people a day. That seems like a more productive part of my time. Um, you know, the Humanity Project is for the people. Our building was bought by the people of our city. You know, we spent the last time it was like, I think 135 days or something, but in total, our organization has spent 375 days outside in parking lots in all 4 seasons, feeding our city's children, seniors, homeless, and working poor families. Um, I think that if I would have waited on the government, we'd still be sitting in a parking lot feeding those people today. And it was because of our community that we have a beautiful, beautiful place to call home. And to me, that's what the Humanity Project is. It's a community working towards a common goal of making it better for all of us, you know, but at the same time, advocating on behalf of those who have no voice and to speak up for them. There's always been 2 things that have been very important to me. You know, I talked earlier about how I changed my mindset. So to me, number one was always getting people in the general public to realize that homelessness, like you just said, almost happened to you, can happen to anybody at any time. You know, how many people right now would be having a hard time if the government never gave out those $2,000 COVID checks?
yeah,
There'd be a lot of people hurting right now. And, you know, I thought the whole COVID thing, when this happened and everybody's off work, it would bring people closer together and make them realize how easy it can happen, and, you know, how far away people are from being homelessness. And it's not very far, you know, but to me, changing the mindset of people to make them realize that it can happen to you, it can happen to me, it can happen to your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, it can happen to somebody you love. That's always been important. But number 2, the important thing has always been about changing the mindset of the people who are living in that situation, to make them realize that they do have value and purpose, and that they do have a part of them that they can push and be better, and they deserve happiness. They deserve to be happy, and whatever that is that truly makes them happy, that's what they deserve. And to give them the insight and the inspiration to help them, to push them along to where they really want to be in life. Because I can tell you right now, I hear people say all the time, well, people just want to be homeless, people, they want to live that way. I'm telling you right now, I have never met a single person ever who truly wants to be homeless.
yeah,
Now, they're only homeless until the right options are presented to them. Saying to somebody, okay, you're sleeping in a tent, you've been out here 2 years, go stay at the shelter, that's not an option that works for them, maybe. But if you offer that same person a place to live, a safe, affordable place to live, that might be an option they might take. You know, I know a gentleman that's been homeless in our city for 37 years. You know, he's an amazing, amazing man. He's an awesome human being, and I love him to death. I love him to death. And he like I keep trying to house him. And I'm trying different little techniques to get him housed and get him in. He's getting older, and I'm telling you, like I've been in his spot where it is minus 30 degrees, and he's sitting in his t-shirt and underwear with 2 candles keeping the place warm, and I'm taking off my jacket. Like, this guy knows how to survive.
Yeah.
But all those ways that he learned how to survive came through suffering. How many times did he go cold before he figured out how to stay warm?
Yeah.
Nobody should have to live like that. And that guy's been homeless so long that these organizations and all these meals and all these things, these weren't even around then for him. He doesn't use any of the services because for the last 30 years, they haven't been there. So to him, it's like he's off on his own. He's harder to house. I might not ever get him housed, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying.
What do you think is the main thing that prevents him from getting housed?
Him, it's 37 years of your life living the same way.
Yeah.
How do you break that habit or routine? It's like people that go to jail for long periods of time and they're institutionalized. We talk a lot. I hear a lot of people talk about how a lot of the homeless have mental illness, and they're right. They do. A lot of the homeless do suffer from mental illness. But
a lot of the non-homeless suffer from mental illness. I mean, I'm a massage therapist, and a lot of people check off anxiety, depression, and these different medications. So it's a common thing. So we cannot like stigmatize. It's just homeless people. It's everybody. They just happen to be homeless.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
How many people develop a mental illness from being homeless?
Exactly.
How many people literally get PTSD?
Yeah.
Or they develop depression because of being homeless that never had these symptoms before. I know people that did not do drugs until they got on the street. They didn't have their normal medicine to keep them level and straight. They had no way of getting that, and they started basically self-medicating with street drugs, and then it developed into an addiction. And then it's a lot harder, I'll tell you the saddest thing I see, and I see it all the time, and it pisses me off, but it makes me sad. It breaks my heart. Is when I see somebody get out of detox or somebody getting out of jail. They put on weight, they look good, they come, they're like, "Hey, Charlie, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, it's going good. You look good. You friggin' look awesome." And then I say, "Where are you staying tonight?" "Oh, I'm going to go to the shelter. I'm going to go back to the campsite or back under the bridge, blah, blah, blah," because they have no place to go. And I know in the back of my mind and in my head, I go, my heart breaks because I'm like, it's only a matter of time. Because now you're going to sleep in the same place beside the same guy that you used to use with. And we as a society expect you not to use again and do better. That's where we're failing people. We're failing people on the way out. When they get out of these services, we have no place to grab them and house them and help them.
Yeah, so it goes down to that saying, like, you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick.
Exactly.
So in a perfect world, if somebody were to actually get a house and a job and all that stuff, and that guy who's been homeless for 37 years, in a perfect world, we would essentially need somebody to guide him along the way and come help him, like maybe weekly, and check in and kind of like essentially be his coach or his mentor or social worker type job. But of course that costs money. Would you say that in a perfect world that's what we would need? Or
yeah, he's a very independent person. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, when he comes to my house, he won't sleep under the blankets in the spare room. He'll sleep on the bed, laying out, won't disturb anything, will sleep. I'm like, no, go, do sleep. No, will not do it. He's just so used. He'll just tell me, he's like, no, I'm too warm. It's too warm in the house. Like, he's just used to it. He's been out there so long that the only way I'm going to get him outside is the older he gets, it's going to be harder for him. And then he's just going to get tired of it and go, okay, I'll go house. Somebody that hasn't been homeless that long, I think it's just a matter of breaking the habits and routines. It's like people that are going in dumpsters. People get pissed because they see people in dumpsters and they're like, "Oh, you're digging through the garbage." Really? You should be thanking that person because they're not breaking into your car. They're going through that dumpster to find something so that they can make money or pick up the pop bottles that you've left in there.
That are just going to go in a landfill anyway.
Exactly. But they're using it, whether it's to pay for food, or like there are people in our city who I know that do not use any of the services. When they panhandle for change or when they're getting money out of the dumpster, they legitimately use it for food. They do not come to the center. They do not use any of the other services. They don't rely on them. But regardless of what they're doing, they're in there taking out garbage, making money. And I can
Yeah.
understand the mess that's sometimes left behind that makes people mad, but it goes back to that, like, one bad apple ruins it for everybody. One
Hmm.
person, leaves a mess, and now it's all of them that are leaving a mess. And
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a bunch of them yesterday about this, actually, because they asked me, they said, Charlie, like, during this, what do you need help with? What can we help you with? And it was probably, I don't know, 8, 10 people that were all experiencing homelessness. And I said, the best thing you can do is keep our city clean. Keep it clean, because you're getting blamed for things that other people are doing. That's just stupid.
Uh, and unfortunately, it's always one bad apple that spoils the bunch. I think your audio just cut out, or maybe it was just
Really?
delayed. Yeah, or maybe it was just delayed. Um, Video. Anyways, it's all good. So I wanted to ask, like, is there any like community groups where people who are homeless can go to maybe learn skills or learn how to take the next step and what to do? Is that what the Humanity Project does, or is there anything else like that? Or
Well, we have volunteers. Like, I would say you come in any random day of the week, a third of the volunteers that are in the building are probably experiencing homelessness. So we've had volunteers that come in and they've met up with other volunteers who own businesses, work at other places, whatever, that have helped them get jobs and stuff like that, just through like basic networking. And we've had people. I had a lady come in that she wasn't homeless, but she came in and she said, I'd like to volunteer. And I said, okay, cool. She said, I get food from the food bank, and I don't even know how to cook it. Like, I didn't have parents to teach me how to cook, so I would like to learn some cooking skills. So she came in twice a week, and she would volunteer, help out chopping up vegetables at first, and started learning different items to make in her home, and skills like that. Yeah, but as far as like skill training, no, I wouldn't say like we're really into skill training. Like, we help people get their IDs, we help them file their taxes, stuff like that. Um, help find apartments, places like that. But I try to concentrate my time more on, like, if I house somebody, to keep following up with them,
hmm.
and to stay in touch with them and let them know that you're still here. It's not the end. I didn't just drop you off here and leave you here. Um, but yeah, it's kind of hard too, because we don't have paid staff. We have all volunteers. It's hard, but it's kind of the best thing too, because you have all these different people from all different walks of life with all different experience who help out in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Because we all have something to contribute. Not everybody has money. Not everybody has time. Some people have knowledge and resources, or just networking. Everybody has something to give to make this a better community for all of us. And I did not answer your question at all. I just went totally off track.
Oh no, it's okay. That's perfect what you just said there. But I wanted to ask: is there a service or group or community, something that we need that we don't have, and not even just Moncton, just maybe in Canada in general? Are there? Do you feel like there's certain things that we need that we don't have yet?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
We need something to grab people on the way out. We'd have a lot less people addicted to drugs and a lot less people living on our streets, for instance, if we had somebody grabbing them on the way out of jail or on the way out of a detox center, to keep them housed and keep them supported, so that they can get the help they need, without judgment. And that's the other thing. There's a place in town, like, if you use, okay, out, we're done with you, we're gonna cast you out because you broke the rules. Well, I'm
yeah.
sorry, but people fall off the horse. If they get back on the horse, that's what you should be really thanking them for, and helping them get back on that horse. But yeah, we need something set up so that can grab people, because that's where I see us failing. Like,
Okay.
other than like the basic three things I mentioned earlier, is grabbing people on the way out when they're healthy and they're feeling good and their mind is good, before they start using again. I think that's the one service that we are really lacking in.
Yeah. So there's nothing like that at all right now.
Not that I know of.
Okay. I'm getting some ideas in my head right now. Maybe I could talk to you about later, but I'm thinking maybe if there is like even some video courses, and even they could meet with somebody and follow up like once a week online, just because technology is so accessible now. There could be like group meetings and workshops of
Yeah, but that's the problem.
yeah.
It's hard to do a video meeting when you're sleeping under a bridge.
Yeah, that's
You
exactly.
know.
We need like a place, almost like a place where you could gather. So obviously, there's some barriers in the way right now, but in a perfect world, that's what we would need, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you feel like we would need?
No, just we need mental health, addiction services, and affordable housing. And
Yeah.
honestly, I've repeated this so many times in the news
So
and the
yeah,
media, to the city, to everybody else. I feel like beat my head off the wall because it's like
yeah,
nobody's
yeah,
listening.
really, yeah, yeah,
But I know people are listening, but
yeah,
it's like frustrating, especially like when you see all the money that has been poured out. I'm going to tell you something too. This is the best thing. If you really want to see change, you really want to see change. I've seen things online where people are upset because CEOs of nonprofits and charities make 250 or $500,000 a year. Okay. In this city in Moncton, I have said this publicly before at city council, and I've said it online. I've said it many times. To make no mistake about it, that hunger and homelessness is 100% a business to some people in this city. They profit off it. They do not want to see it go away because then their profits go away. That is a
yeah,
fact. Okay. I don't care if you donate to the Humanity Project. I don't care if you donate to another organization. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is this. No matter who you donate to, educate yourself on where your money's going. Educate yourselves. Stop donating to places you think you should donate to and start donating to places that you believe you should donate to.
yeah,
And in the end, you will see greater changes in our community. Because when you sit there and you complain that some CEO of some big organization is making $500,000 a year, well, then it's time for you to stop donating if you really want to see change, because the change is in your pocket. That's the thing. If you don't support that organization, then they either have to change their business practices or close their doors. So they only have two choices, right? Like, and I'll give you an example. There was a place in the city when I started that was charging $3 a meal to the homeless and to anybody that ate there. And if you didn't have $3, you did not eat, and that was a fact. The food was donated. They took government money. They took public money, and yet they charged the homeless $3 for a meal. I said this many times online, and I got called many names. Why are you attacking a good organization? Why are you doing this?
yeah.
Why are you doing that? It never changed. They kept charging $3 a meal. They kept charging $3 a meal. It changed nothing. You know what changed? When I started handing out meals free of charge with love, dignity, and respect. When I started handing out meals free of charge with love, dignity, and respect, and I gave people another option, they had two options: change their business practices or close their door. They changed their business practices and stopped charging the homeless for their meal
Oh wow,
after
that's
their
awesome.
numbers dropped. That's how you make change. You know,
So
if you want to see change, it's like what you said earlier. You want to see
yeah,
change in the world, be that change. Well, go
exactly.
after it. Go
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
You know, make it happen.
yeah. Oh, I wanted to say, vote with your dollar. I mean, don't look at the
Yeah.
surface value of like of anything. It's important to dig a little bit deeper and see where the people come from, uh, what the source actually is. Whether you're buying food, you vote with your dollar. That's why I try to buy local as much as possible, because I want to grow that. And if you donate money, you want to get to the source of that, so you know where it's coming from, because you want to grow a good source. You don't want to put that money you're donating it like 99% into one guy's pocket and 1% goes to helping people. You want to actually have that evenly distributed and coming from a place of your heart with dignity, like you just said. Is there any your video cut out there?
There.
Okay, you're
Is it
good.
working now?
Yeah, it's good. So
Someone was
I
calling
actually
me.
okay, no worries. I was actually gonna say I'll actually include some links in the description of reliable places that people could donate so that they know. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, you do that, or it's just educate
Maybe I
yourself. Like
like
it's like
Reavers.
here's the thing:
Yeah.
if you want to donate to the homeless, next time you're downtown or you're somewhere, or you see someone that's in a hard spot and having a hard time, ask them, say, hey man, how's your day going? Or hey, how's your day going? What's going on? And ask them, say, do you know of any? Do you use any of the services in town? What services do you use? Tell them, I was thinking about making a donation to an organization in town. Which one do you think I should donate to? And the homeless will quickly tell you which ones you should be supporting and which ones you shouldn't be. It's the change is really in our pocket, and that's where the power for change
Yeah.
is. There's some people, they take copious amounts of money with very little results, with very little change. What I don't know, it gets frustrating sometimes, when you
Exactly.
see these things happening around you.
What do you think the average person who's listening could do about all this? What's an action they could take to make a change in their community?
Become involved in your community. Find
Yeah.
an organization that you like, that is dear to your heart, or to educate yourself on. Here's the thing, like I've had a lot of people that have come in to, let's say, serve a meal at our center. And it's probably the number one comment that I get the most is like, people will come in and they'll say something like, after supper's done or whatever, they'll be like, man, I thought I was coming in to feed people who were homeless, and holy shit, was my eyes ever open. Like there's a lot of seniors and a lot of kids in
Yeah.
here, and that's the one thing that I hear probably the most, that blows people's minds, because they come in or they see somebody that they used to work with or see somebody that they used to know. So they're served a meal to them. I think that really opens up people's minds, because then you realize that it's not a homeless problem, it's a poverty problem. And there's a
Yeah.
lot more than just the homeless suffering from it. There's our homeless that are going to be homeless tomorrow, plus the future or the generations that, worked and built this country, that are eating at a kitchen because they can't afford to. Do I decide between my food, or do I decide between my medicine because I can't afford both? What human being in our country, or in any country, what human being on this planet should have to make that decision?
No, that shouldn't even exist.
Exactly.
We live in this world of capitalism, and through COVID-19, it definitely exposed some even more leaks in the system that need to be fixed. Because essentially this, the pyramid, where somebody's at the top and
Yeah.
extracting more than they need. We take more than what we need from the earth. We destroy the oceans. We destroy our agriculture. We eat more than what we need. We destroy our body. We destroy our health. And it affects people who you're taking literally resources from people's mouths with that system. Nature is not designed as a pyramid. The world is round, and it takes us going around to make it thrive, which involves helping people. And that's going to involve people shoving away their ego aside and being a little bit compassionate for once, and taking a stand back and seeing people with problems as actual people of different races as actual people. Really, it's going to involve changing the habits of society and being more actively involved, like you said, speaking out more. And one good thing about the internet is, even though there's a dark and light side to it, at least all this crap is being exposed right in our faces, so that those who have a little compassion can actually start taking action. And now the resources are in front of our face so that we can actually do that, such as what we talked about today with what you're doing and everything else.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's the internet, it has its positives and negatives, that's for sure. But it has the power to create change. It has the power to spread information faster, spread a message of hope and love, and of compassion. It's really, like, I just think about it like, man, I was so narrow-minded at one time when it came to poverty and just so many issues, but I've learned so much over the last 6 years about people and different people's situations, and I've opened my heart. It's not that I never cared before, or I wasn't a caring person. I always was. I was just, I don't know. It wasn't out in my face. It was just, the typical information that you see on social media and on Facebook and TV and movies of just, a guy pushing a cart and a brown paper bag and a bottle. And
Yeah.
once I opened my mind and opened my heart, it not only changed my life, but it changed a lot of the lives of the people around me. And I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful, like, I have some amazing, amazing people behind us and behind our community and in our community. I have this wouldn't, like, honestly, if somebody would have told me 6 years ago, like, hey, you're gonna go out and hand out a book bag and help out some people that are experiencing homelessness, and 6 years later you would have housed 178 people and fed over 300,000 meals, I wouldn't have believed it. Like, I would have thought it was crazy, because the Humanity Project to me has never been about having a small organization or having a large organization. I don't care about that. The Humanity Project to me has always been about helping somebody. And it's always been about helping somebody one person at a time. And since day one until now, it has expanded into what it is from helping one person at a time. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I've had the support of my community to really help change the lives of other people in our community.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what you're doing, and I'm grateful for you and everything that you're providing, and I hope it spreads to other parts of Canada and the world as well. So, do you want to touch a little bit on Tent City? Because, I mean, I did interview
Yeah.
two people that were a part of that movie.
Yeah.
So, for somebody who doesn't know, what was Tent City and why is it no longer existing?
So Tent City was a location here in Moncton where a lot of people decided to gather and put their tents all together to form a little community, basically. Um, that spot was always there. The last 6 years I've been doing this, that spot's always been there. There's always been people sleeping there. It's no longer there now because the city cleared it, and I believe it's because they're going to put a new RCMP station or something there. But they cleared the land and cleared everybody out of there. It was a little controversial, and it cost the taxpayers a lot of money for nothing to get the city to manage it. A lot of wasted money and a lot of wasted resources. But and this year we're in the same situation, just everybody's a little bit more spread out because, again, this year we have, like Moncton has put, in the city and the province or whatever, they have put so much money into shelters over the last 2 years. It is ridiculous. And they have put zero into affordable housing.
Yeah.
Like, shelters don't end homelessness. Shelters do not end homelessness. I'm sorry. There's not a shelter in the planet that has ended homelessness. We're not investing into our people. So, we're going to see an increase in tents. And that's the other thing. Like, people get mad at me and say that I cause homelessness or that I'm the cause of homelessness in Moncton because I give out tents. And the truth of the matter is, I myself and the Humanity Project is 100% not responsible for homelessness in our city. Myself and the Humanity Project and our volunteers are one if being visible makes you uncomfortable, but it doesn't take away from the problem. So if I don't give 20 people tents, those 20 people are sleeping in the bushes getting wet. If I give them 20 tents, at least they're a little dry. I'm not saying tents are a solution to ending homelessness by any means whatsoever, but it does keep a person a little bit more comfortable while they're experiencing homelessness, since there's no affordable housing or other resources for them. That's the thing. Once the tents start popping up, it makes people uncomfortable because then they have to face the reality that this is happening in your town. Like, I know people that have already started moving over towards Riverview and putting their tents over there. Like, the problem isn't going away. It's just going to keep expanding it. If we want to keep looking away, it's just going to keep expanding.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking we definitely need more actual affordable housing. And nowadays, I mean, the world has become so innovative. We can create tiny little houses. I've seen online from anywhere from a $500 to $5,000 to some people do it for free with some of their resources when they get creative. But we also need land for that. So definitely need more places like that. Because I mean, if you're the only way to stop the problem is to create a solution. And like you said, shelters don't is not the solution. There's still homelessness. The shelters is
Hmm.
just is exactly what the word is. It's a shelter. It's not a home. People need a home. They need food. They need community. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something we all need. I know Tent City when that was when they were evicted, it really it left a lot of people not knowing where they're going to go, and obviously now they're going to the problem still exists. They're relocating to other places. Tents aren't the solution either. People need houses just as like anybody who's listening right now. Um,
You, you know, it's funny because when Tent City happened, when we filmed it and we went in there were no needles laying around on the ground anywhere. There was no violence. There were not really many problems at all in there. They had a little tight community going,
yeah,
and they were taking care of each other and take care of the property. And I think when I announced it that we were in there filming and we were going to put out a film with Colleen called Tent City, I think the city freaked. And when they freaked, when I went back to try to house somebody, that's when they told me I wasn't allowed on the property. And I think it scared them
yeah,
because they didn't know what we filmed or what was on there.
yeah,
And what we filmed was the truth, and it was
hmm
people with real struggles,
yeah,
and it was a message of compassion to the greater community to show them that these are people. And I think it scared a few people, and because they didn't know what it was and they didn't know what was coming.
mm.
And after the city basically took control, put security in there, and stopped letting other organizations in, um, it became a disaster basically.
Yeah. When something makes you uncomfortable, I mean, that's an opportunity to create change, and
Look
you
at what's
can't.
going on in the world today.
Yeah, if you exactly, yeah, it's an opportunity to create change in our systems and change where you see flaws. And I always say, when you're trying to change your own life, you have to face something that's uncomfortable in order to change it. If you ignore it, you're never going to know it's truly there, and you're never going to be able to change it. And I love what
Exactly.
you did. How like you mentioned how you started giving away free meals. You were an example of what we can do. So we'll wrap it up with that. Be the change of what you want to see in this world, and start doing something, even if it's just being kind to somebody else. But anyways, it was really nice to talk to you, Charles. I'd love to honestly talk to you again sometime because I feel like there's more we could talk about. We'll wrap this
Yeah,
up
no
for
problem.
today. Yeah. But anyways, if anybody who's listening, I'll leave the links to Tent City documentary and all of Charles' social media platforms in the description, and anything else that I might feel of value.
I just
Um,
want to say one thing.
yeah.
Um, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much to every single person who has ever helped the Humanity Project or myself get to this point and take care of our community. I cannot thank you all enough. And without your support, a lot of people in our community would be living on the streets right now or going hungry. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. I second that too. Yes, have an awesome day, Charles. Thanks for coming on the
Have an
show.
awesome day, buddy.